What's up everyone, this is Steve from Bloom Audio. Today we have the iBasso SR3. Now the SR3 follows up on iBasso's SR2 and aims to improve upon that, offer a really strong competitive dynamic driver headphone for under $1,000. So at $599, is SR3 a solid mid-fi pick? Or does it maybe compete a little bit above its price range? Let's take a closer look. The SR3 looks and feels great. Look here. So the cups are metal and there's this mesh that covers the back of the driver. Now on the SR2, there were 2 layers of mesh here. But with the 3, there's only 1. So a lot of people considered the SR2 to be just kind of semi-open, not fully open because of that. So the SR3 is more open in design. So there's this suspension system here that has some degree of adjustment that's possible. You can see that moves up and down. Depending on the size of your head and the stiffness here, you may need to use the star wrench here to adjust that, to tighten it, to keep it in place for your head. I'd say that's probably the one flaw in this system. It's otherwise very comfortable, fits great, feels pretty lightweight. So in terms of the package, there's this case. It's a somewhat standard case here. For those of you who had an SR2, this used to always come off. This doesn't come off on the SR3, so big improvement there. So the cable is silver plated copper. It's a really nice cable, feels great. It is a 4.4 millimeter terminated cable with an adapter here. So cable is 4.4 and you get the adapter to 6.3 here. In addition to the cable, you also get a set of ear pads. Now these are replacement ear pads, but they're also just a little bit more, it's a little bit of a bigger vent than the stock ones. You can see, you get close up. So these have a slightly different tonality to them, tend to be a little more airy and bright than the stock pads. So you also have that little bit of a tuning option there provided by iBasso. So yeah, altogether, it's a pretty solid, pretty premium package here. SR3 is largely neutral with a little bit of a smooth, relaxed twist to it and a touch of fun in there as well. You could call it warm neutral, but I wouldn't necessarily call it warm just because there's not that color to the timbre that I would associate with a warm headphone. There's just a little bit of a relaxed nature to the highs and a very slight bit of emphasis and tuning in the bass. The bass is largely accurate and linear with good extension into the sub bass. Then there's just that little extra bump in there that adds some impact and dynamics, especially with like rock music. The kick drum, any kind of hip hop EDM is also gonna get that added bit of impact there. But it seems especially tuned to enhance that sort of acoustic drum kit kick drum on there. Otherwise, it's very accurate, neutral feeling bass. The mid-range is clear and detailed. SR3 gives you really like neutral, natural timbre to it, generally strong detail and layering in the mids. The upper mids have a small cut, which I feel pulls some tenor and female vocals back just a little bit in the mix, though more of the lower baritone range male vocals held up really well. And in that, those mid-range instruments, acoustic guitar and piano, are all really well executed with SR3. The treble has a little bump for that added sizzle and snap at the top to add a little bit more excitement here. But at the top end, it is largely smooth. And I feel like there's a balancing act going on here where the key goal was to remove any kind of potential for fatiguing frequencies in the treble. But they didn't want to lose those characteristics, that sense of resolution, and other really important aspects of the treble there. And I think they did a great job balancing it where the treble doesn't feel weak, it doesn't feel pulled back or flat, it just feels a little bit relaxed at the top and a little bit smooth in a way that, again, removes any kind of fatigue, but still gives you those key characteristics in the treble. SR3 has really good width to the soundstage and really solid three-dimensionality here. I think the width actually in some tracks, I felt like it bumped up on Hi-Fi Man ARIA levels. With the right track, though I wouldn't say that consistently. The imaging isn't quite as concrete feeling in terms of that weight to the individual performers. I think a lot of that is owing to that upper mid cut that pulls the vocals back a little bit, and they don't have quite that same sense of presence as you might hope for, considering how well constructed the soundstage is. But again, those sort of mid-range instruments like the piano or even in the violin, which is a little bit more upper, you do get this great sense of the sort of the micro dynamics and the small nuances there that SR3 does a great job delivering. Again, balancing out those treble aspects for that sense of resolution. SR3 gives you this really immersive feeling, largely on account of that extra bit of detail there. Meze 109 Pro was one of the biggest releases of 2022, and it definitely shook up the under $1,000 headphone category. And while we were listening, we definitely heard some similarities and thought these would make a great comparison because there's similar aspects and there's differences as well that help set these apart. The designs here are pretty different. You can see the metal and mesh here versus the wood grain here with a little bit more figurative design. Meze's suspension system is entirely automatic, so that just rests on your head with no need for any kind of manual adjustment here or the wrench. In general, the build and comfort of both is excellent, but I just got to give the edge to Meze here. One, for the better suspension system, and just there's a little bit more attention to detail here with the wood cups, which this design here just feels a little bit stronger to me than the SR3. In terms of the overall sound and tuning, they both have a similar characteristic of being kind of just south of neutral, but what really sets it apart is where Meze 109 Pro has that bit of characteristic Meze warmth to it. SR3 is relaxed, but remains largely transparent. And kind of moving through the frequencies, there's just these little bits of difference in each one. So for example, in the bass, 109 Pro has a better just straight extension. I think a better, broader slam than SR3, where SR3 again has that sort of tight punch, in that mid bass, but doesn't have the full overall bass presence of 109 Pro. And then again in the mids, SR3 gives you that more natural overall timbre, while 109 Pro has a little warm characteristic, but then as you move up into the upper mids, 109 Pro provides a better sense of support for vocals, brings vocals forward and gives you that more intimate, holographic feeling with vocals that SR3 misses out on. Then when you move up into the treble, 109 Pro again has that similar idea where there's a sense of smoothness to the treble, but then also that little bump to give you that stronger attack, the snap, the sizzle, and all of those characteristics. SR3 doesn't push that bump quite as hard. I think in the end, it doesn't feel quite as resolving as 109 Pro, even though the resolution is really strong with SR3. But it also avoids certain tracks. There are a couple frequencies where 109 Pro can feel slightly harsh, maybe with a trumpet stab or something like that, where SR3 avoids that. So 109 Pro is giving you more presence, more engagement in that treble region, while SR3 pulls it back a little bit more. Again, that'll probably largely be up to preference there. The soundstage on 109 Pro is pretty similar in construction to SR3. Again, they're both big, round, three-dimensional sound stages there. 109 Pro stands out though with a more holographic feeling imaging. Again, particularly in the vocal range, 109 Pro just gives you this emotional, personal delivery of vocals, where SR3 can feel just like the vocals are a little bit further back in the mix than on 109 Pro. And that comes together in the imaging as a whole, where 109 Pro feels a little more tactile in general. So the difference between these two kind of comes down to, if you really want to avoid that fatiguing treble, but you still want that balance, SR3 does a better job of avoiding the fatiguing ranges in the treble altogether, even though it in the end comes off a little bit more smooth, if smooth is not something you're looking for. It also has a more transparent overall character versus 109 Pro's slight feeling of warmth. Now 109 Pro hits you with the stronger slam, the stronger imaging and vocal performance there as well. And again, the treble's gonna come down somewhat to preference. Do you want that little extra sizzle, or do you want it a little bit more smooth? Either way, they're both great headphones. SR3 provides an excellent listening experience, the blend of technical capabilities, and that just slightly smooth sound signature. So if you're looking for a more laid-back sound without something that sounds too warm or too relaxed and ends up sacrificing detail and transparency, SR3 is a great choice. That's also pretty easy on your wallet. Thanks for watching. You can check out SR3 and a lot of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more hi-fi personal audio content.